Hello, my name is Brian Romacco, and today I'm going to talk about air purifiers or air filters. Now, first off, I'm not an expert in air purifiers. I am a user of air purifiers, and I want to share some of my experiences. In particular, I was inspired to create this video due to a particularly poorly designed air purifier. So what are they? They're basically fans with a filter attached to them. See, filter, and there's a little computer fan inside. Now, you could basically build your own air purifier with a box fan, some packing tape, and a furnace filter. And so some people have done that. But air purifiers can be many times more expensive than just a simple fan, as the additional cost is mostly for the filter. These filters can cost hundreds of dollars, and the filter is something that will have to be replaced to maintain maximum performance. Some filters only remove large particles like pollen and mold spores. The more expensive filters may even be able to catch the smallest particles, like cigarette smoke, which is extremely fine. Filters may have an activated charcoal component as well to remove odors. When considering an air purifier, you must consider your usage. How good a filter do you need? How large should it be? How quiet does it need to be? Now for myself, I typically rent cheap apartments full of mold. My current apartment would be unlivable without the air purifier. I'm also in Indonesia, near Jakarta, and the air quality here is one of the worst in the world. Even in the non-moldy apartment I had before this, if I didn't have the air purifier, I would wake up in the morning with a sore throat. Mold spores are large, so I don't need a particularly fancy filter. Now to handle smog, and if you want to fully handle smog, an expensive filter will be required. But I find a HEPA filter handles most of it. HEPA stands for High Efficiency Particulate Air Filter, and the EPA requires a HEPA filter to filter out 99.97% of particles larger than 0.3 micrometers or microns. Pollen is about 2.5 to 200 microns, and mold spores are 3 to 40 microns. Cigarette smoke particles can be as small as 0.02 microns, and most is around the 0.2 micron mark. Now, I can't sleep with a typical fan or air conditioner running. It drives me crazy. I just can't sleep. It sometimes helps other people sleep as white noise, but for me, I can't stand it. Give me traffic noise any day of the week. So anyway, how quiet an air purifier is very important to me. I liked the small one for the bedroom, as I could have it pointed right at my face if it was quiet enough. Medium-sized ones are more practical for treating the air in a large room or small apartment. I'm normally not interested in extra features like having a remote, automatic timers, UV lights, etc. But I must say, I do like the air quality readings and the corresponding automatic mode where the fan adjusts to how bad the air quality is. I think it's really neat to see the fan automatically kick into high gear when we open the balcony door and that Jakarta smog, comes in. If you are allergic or have a mold problem, I highly recommend picking up an air purifier. Depending on the model, they can also pull double duty as a fan in the hot summer months. Now I'm going to quickly do a review of a few of the air purifiers I've owned over the years. The first is a Hamilton Beach tabletop air purifier. I love this one. I bought 3 of them. Hopefully they're still the same quality because I bought them about 15 years ago. The filter is basically a tightly woven fabric, so the filter can actually be cleaned with a vacuum instead of replaced. They called this filter HEPA grade. Now, don't let that fool you. If it was actually HEPA grade, they would call it a HEPA filter. They claim 99% down to 3 microns, which is not 99.97% down to 0.3 microns of a true HEPA filter. It is good enough for mold, spores, and pollen. Most pollen. I still say replace the filter once it gets gross or starts smelling. Now, without a charcoal filter, it doesn't affect smell, so that's something to take into account. The best thing about this one was how ridiculously quiet it was on the low setting. I could have this just inches from my face and I couldn't hear this thing at all. If you didn't feel the air blowing at you, you wouldn't know it was on. In fact, if you walked into the room to check whether it was on or not, you had to wave your hand in front so you could feel whether it was on or not. Now, I also loved it for those hot summer nights, blowing nice clean air in my face. It was just so practical for that purpose. Now, I also liked that you could lie it flat to sort of just blow air into the room, to circulate air, or you could stand it up on end to sort of target the air where you want it to go. So next was a larger Germ Guardian air purifier, and it was about double the size. And this was for the living room. Now, it did its job well. I must admit, my girlfriend at the time was the one using this 95% of the time, so I don't have too much experience with it. I did find it bothersome. I could hear it on in the other room, so I did turn it off at night. Now, other room, this particular apartment just had dividers that didn't go to the ceiling, so it was basically like a studio type apartment. So take that in mind. If it was truly in a separate room, I don't think I would have heard it. Next was the Medify. This one was pretty quiet on its quietest setting. I could use that night, right next to me, just like that Hamilton Beach one, but it had a little bit of a rattle. So I had to tilt it until it was almost falling over, basically propped up against a box to get that rattle to go away. That was a little annoying. And someone who walked into my apartment was like, why is that about to fall over? Like, what's going on with that air filter or air purifier? The filters on this thing were serious, though. It had really good filters, and it even handled fine smoke to a certain degree. Now we get to the Smart Air QT3. Now, it's a very cute air purifier that is way overpriced, poorly designed, and barely functions. It infuriates me that review channels just quote the marketing material from the manufacturer and never really looked at the product critically, or its flaws would have been evident to them.
QP3 can clean 40 cubic meter area per hour, and it has a noise level of just 32 decibel. And personally, I've been using it for quite some time, and I find the performance very good. I keep this device on my work table, and I can for sure feel the difference. You will not feel the difference immediately, but after some time, you will feel freshness around you. So overall, if you're looking for a portable air purifier for your personal use, and if you want a cost-effective and a good-looking device for your table, then the Smart Air QT3 is a very good option. This portable air purifier can remove 95% particles from air, including the PM2.5 and also the virus particles. And because of its 3-in-1 design, you can use it as a regular fan at home, but of course with clean air. Design-wise, it's compact and weighs just over 600 grams, and you can easily carry this in your backpack.
On its quietest setting, it is the loudest air purifier I've ever had. I definitely can't keep it on, not even right next to me. I can't keep it on in the same room with me. It's louder than the air conditioner. Now, in terms of decibels, it might be the same volume as the air conditioner, but because of its higher pitch, it's much more annoying.
Start a new one.
Just a computer fan in here. It's nothing fancy. You do have a battery, but you can see I had this sort of packed up with this material. Why did I have it packed up like that? Well, because what's important for an air purifier or air filter is to seal it. You want all of the air to go through the filter so the air gets filtered. So, okay, it looks like they've taken some steps to make sure it seals. This goes in here. So there's a lip here, and then a lot of empty space. There's about this much space all around this. This slides in, well, once it gets over that lip, then there's nothing keeping it from going around. I'm not sure if you can see the light from behind there. You can see the light behind the filter, or all around the edges. And it's a good centimeter, it's a good quarter, half an inch, all the way around this filter. This is no good. Also, I'm not sure if you can make out that there's a hole in the top there, which this is some sort of storage compartment, they claim. So even if you didn't try to plug up the space around it, air can come up through this wall. I have a piece of tape over it now to try to make this work. Now, when I filled in this gap with plastic, barely any air actually makes it through the filter. I feel like an equivalent amount of air just comes out the back, around the sides of the little tiny computer fan at the back instead of out the front. Now, it's definitely not enough to feel a cool breeze. Now, to its credit, once the gaps are plugged up, it did function enough to noticeably clean my bedroom air until I could get a better air purifier. Speaking of a better air purifier, my most recent air purifier is pretty great and was sold under the brand name Covenant. But this Chinese-made purifier might be sold under different brands. This thing keeps our mold-filled apartment livable. If it wasn't for this, we wouldn't be able to stay here. Now, ideally, if you have a home, not an apartment you're only going to live in another month like me, but if you have your own home, ideally you treat the mold instead of just trying to live with it. But that's sort of the situation I'm in. We're going to stay at this apartment one more month, and we have to just deal with the mold. And I ordered day one, hour one, I got this air purifier. And it's quiet, but not quiet enough that I would keep it next to me for sleeping. But in our living room, I don't notice it. And it's on 24/7, keeping the air clean, and we keep the bedroom door open, and it doesn't bother me, even though it's in the living room. And I find it just, if we accidentally close that bedroom door, then you can start to smell the mold in the bedroom again. So this thing does a great job for our small apartment. I love its automatic mode and the air quality sensor feature. I like the charcoal filter, and it does help with smells. Now, it just blows air straight up, so you can't use it like a fan, but that's not really an issue for us because we have air conditioning, so we don't really need it to work as a fan. So I hope you found this useful. I hope you learned something, and I wish you all the best. Cheers.